Better?
Got it.
Yay!
Cool. Okay, everybody come back. I'm going to tell everybody come back. Oh,
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for day 5 of Ignite Your Soul Connection. This is the Summer Solstice edition. And all week long, we have been talking about healing waters for men. I hope that you had a chance to join some of our conversation, but if you didn't, no worries. Next week we will post each segment of the show and you can go back and listen as many times as you like. Tonight's conversation, we have a full panel discussion and we will be talking about powerful relationships. However, before we get started, we want to let people come in. So we're going to give it a few minutes and we're going to start right at the 3-3 mark with a short breathing exercise. So in the meantime, you can go and get you some coffee. Oh, no, 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 it's too late for coffee. You can go get you some water. You can go get you some tea, maybe pen and paper so that you can take notes. But we'll be going into our breathing in about 2 minutes. Okay, we'll just give people time to come on. Thank you. Mute Qiana, Vicky, please. Greetings again, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mu Shimsut. I am the owner of Master Force and the founder of Master Force International Leadership Academy. Tonight, we are bringing you an amazing conversation called Healing Waters for Men, and our discussion will be about powerful relationships. But before we get started, we want to synchronize our breath together so that we can all just take a moment and get grounded inside of being present and being relaxed. So the breathing that I'm going to offer to you is just a short inhale into your belly, and we're inhaling and exhaling through our nose. And you're going to breathe in, and as you breathe in, allow your belly to expand right at the navel area. If you want to, you can put your hand on there so you can feel the expansion as you breathe in through your nose. And then you're going to exhale out of your nose. And as you exhale, allow your stomach to collapse. And at each intercession, we will do a hold just for a few seconds, okay? All right, let's get started by exhaling all of the air through our nose. Now breathe in into your belly and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your nose, pushing in and hold. 2, 3, 4. Relax. Breathe in and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your nose, relaxing, letting go, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in deeply to your belly and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale, relaxing, letting go. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale, releasing, letting go of any tension. Continue to breathe naturally for yourself. And then just take a moment right now and scan your body. Just notice if there's any tension any place. And if there is, just take your breath into that area and just release it with your breath. Allow it to let go so that you're relaxed and you're present. And any time during this conversation that you feel any tension or anxiety or discomfort, go into your breath. That is going to be the anchor to allow you to relax and expand and allow new concepts and new thoughts to enter into your realm so that you're not resisting. You can always toss out anything that we say that you don't like, but at least allow yourself to hear it in a relaxed state. Okay? Okay, now I don't know how much of this conversation you've been with us this week, but on Monday we started off with a smacking conversation about beyond the parent trap. And we have had so much feedback from people about that conversation. And Timothy, do you want to say anything about Monday? Anything up there for you that you forgot to say and needed to say?
I first of all, blessings to everyone here, the whole panel. So grateful for you guys being here, to Divine Spirit and ancestors for allowing us to articulate this wisdom that's been given to each and every one of us. It's such a privilege to be here. Believe it or not, I got a lot of feedback
Yeah.
from Monday, right?
Yeah.
I think I got it all out. Just getting back to the space, including tonight's conversation, just getting back to the space of knowing who we are and being able to finally hear, being sensitive to the voice of our internal parents, healing those voices so that we can hear the voice of our mates, our children. This is very important. So I think I got it all out. It was such a fun thing to do. People were really kind of moved by using the example of how we have a soul family, and our parents are part of that soul family, and some of the choices that they made to, when they incarnated, we may question now, but it is ultimately for our highest good and our highest awareness. It's never about what we go through. It's about the destiny and the purpose in which path we take, So if we don't get so preoccupied with what has happened and start to focus on why and for what purpose this has happened, I think we'll be more empowered in our work.
Very cool. Thank you. That is so powerful. I hear some books being written through.
Oh, okay. I'm with it.
I can hear it. That's right. And then on Tuesday night, we had a really great setup because we had the elder and the youth inside of a conversation called Empowered Emotions. And so, Marshawn and Martin, do you have anything that you need to say about Tuesday? Was there something left or something that you need to tell us again, or even just share any feedback that you may have heard? Either one of you.
Tuesday was great. Um, Tuesday was great. But I think it was definitely a conversation that's needed because I feel like um, not just men, but women as well of my generation. We have a hard time um, we have a hard time finding our inner voice, but also um, not being swayed to
Mm,
depend on others to get us to our fulfillment in life.
whoa.
Um, yeah, a lot of us are looking. I feel like a lot of the people in my generation, we are looking for others to come into our life to save us.
Mm,
Um, and but everyone that's coming into that life are part of that, pushing us to that journey to build ourselves up and really heal ourselves and go out into the world and help others and help ourselves.
okay. I hear that. And I'm going to continue to listen in ways to support what you're doing. I love the mentoring circle that you're developing because, we have one of our principles is what? One of our principles in Masterforce as far as saving is concerned. Do you remember that one?
No, s-
Oh,
Anybody remember what that principle is in
no
Masterforce?
saving.
No rescue,
No rescuing.
oh yeah, no rescuing. Yeah,
no.
that's why I say that's why with my friends, that would be another thing that I will mention as well. Sometimes with your friends and people, sometimes it's best to just be there for them while they're going through the moment and not necessarily be there to help them and get them through what they're going. Sometimes they just need to be there in the moment to realize, gain some clarity from certain things and build themselves up.
Yeah, that's right. Hold space for them. Very cool. Okay, what about you, Martin? What about you on Tuesday night? Any feedback for you or anything that you needed to say that was left out of the space?
Well, I don't think anything was left out of the space. Like, you able to hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, but what I want to say, and I want to reiterate, is that we're really whole and complete when we're complete with both our masculine and feminine side.
Mm-hmm.
And when we deny being male or female, when we deny that other side of us and don't embrace it, we really miss out on probably half of who we are. And in the wholeness of it, we become bigger than the two halves. So just, men being able to cry and women being able to be strong, however strength looks like, and men being able to express their emotion in ways that we normally don't do it. It's amazing. I know for myself, when I left home for the first time from Toronto, and I got in my car and I hit the highway, I started bawling because I realized I was leaving my family for the first time, and it was so freeing just to be able to cry and bawl my eyes out. And then, life happened, and I created a fantastic family out of it. And had I not left, and had I not had the audacity and the willingness to experience it, I wouldn't have the two beautiful boys I have. So, embracing both sides of self is very, very powerful.
Very cool. Thank you, Martin. And then, of course, we had Dr. Tammy on Thursday night where we were having an amazing conversation about health, sex, and well being. I think we spent a lot of time on sex, but did we leave it? Dr. Tammy, did you remember some other things that we should have said?
Well, we don't talk about sex enough. Sex is natural, it's expression. So
Yes.
I wanted to shake up the week just a little bit and
Yes.
talk about that. But I think one of the main themes in which I hold in my soul is to become the one you want to attract. So
Mm,
when I am focusing on becoming, right, I don't have time to judge and all of that. You attract who you are.
mhm.
So when we are in relationships and friendships and things, and we talked a little bit about mirror work, and someone had a question regarding that. It's just going back to the table and saying, okay, well, what parts of me is showing up? What work is it that I need to do? And then trust the process, because the universe is going to bring you what it is that you need on your journey that's going to help to further you along the way. So you got to trust the process. And I think in layman terms, it's like, don't sweat the small stuff, you know, just be.
Just be.
Yeah.
And then I can't forget Wednesday, where we did our we grounded ourselves spiritually with Osir. And, I don't know about anybody else, but I thought that it was an amazing demonstration to have the sun set on the conversation. I thought that was a great example, right, of being in nature and watching it as it played out. Oh, Sarah, was there anything there for you that you needed to add?
I think what needed to be said was said, and those who has ears to hear heard. Just the whole topic of grounding ourselves, getting back to nature. And when you understand nature, the word nature comes from the Kemetic word natur, and that is being one with all that is around you. And when you ground yourself with nature, you ground yourself with whom you are. So I think everything that was said was timely. And I believe those who have ears and those who were present got it. And if they wasn't, they got to listen and get it. So
yeah,
no
but
time for going back.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll post to you all's page too, to each speaker. We'll post 3 places: one on YouTube channel, one on the Ignite Your Soul page, and then to each of your pages, so you can share with your groups too. And then tonight we're introducing 2 other fabulous coaches. We're introducing the doctor and the therapist. So, Dr. Marlene, can you please introduce yourself to the public, to our audience, because they have not met you, and just give them a little bit about who you are, so when you're talking tonight, they'll be able to remember that. Okay.
Okie dokie. Well, my name is Dr. Marlene Fain, and I am a doctor of organizational management, specializing in communications for executive leadership. I'm also the, I guess the founder of Spiritual Foundations Unlimited, which is a organization that supports and undergirds humans who are floundering on their spiritual pathways. So I have been a transformation enthusiast and activist since 1986. I am a Master Force life coach. What else?
A grandmother.
Oh yeah, I'm a grandmother. I'm actually a great grandmother of 12, my goodness, great grandchildren. So, but I'm still I'm seasoned, but I'm a youthful, seasoned person. So, and we're talking about relationships, which I have had a plethora of them in every shape, form, or fashion you can imagine. So whatever we're going to discuss in regards to relationship, I'm pretty sure I might have something to say about it.
Okay.
Okay, and there we go.
Thank you, Dr. Payne. We'll be looking forward to hearing from you.
Okay.
All right. And then to our fabulous card reader, we have Qiana Thompson. Hey, Qiana, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys? I'm so excited to be here.
Tell people about yourself so they can know who they're listening to tonight.
Okay, so I am an executive Master Force life coach, and I am also the owner of Holistic Harmony, Mind, Body, and Soul, a solution-focused therapy agency with 100% satisfaction in building quality, passionate relationships. And I read cards, I do therapy as well as life coaching. I do a plethora of things, but that's the main umbrella.
Very cool. And thank you for shortening your busy schedule to be here with us. I know all of you are taking time away from your life, and you've really been very generous this week. So I do not take for granted, your time, your energy, and attention. So let's go right in on the conversation, right? Let's go right in. And let me ask you to really look and tell me if you could give me three things that would define a powerful relationship. People say, well, isn't just being in a relationship enough? And I would say, no, it's not enough, because we actually find people, or people actually come to us to ignite the greatness, or to ignite things in us that were asleep, or trapped, or we didn't even know about them, right? And so the universe sends these mirrors and these great people to us to remind us, hey, you're here for a purpose. And of course, we get mad at those. We get mad at our mates, right? Don't remind me. So, yeah, powerful relationships would give us an opportunity to fully evolve, right? So, what would you say are three things that if people say, I'm looking to see, do I have a powerful relationship? What three things would you say would give you a hint that you're either in a powerful relationship or you're creating a powerful relationship?
I would interject there.
Please.
And what I would say is, you posted I think it was a poem, or anyway, it was a writing, and it was about the way that men treat women. And it was exceptionally well written. But the thing that it honed in on was intelligence, emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is something that people don't pay enough attention to, because it is the foundation of you. In a relationship, each person, people say a relationship is 50-50. No, it's 100% per person. So, and that being that each person is self-aware, each person is self-correcting, in terms of they might need your support in terms of revealing their divinity to the level that, as you say, they are unfamiliar with yet. They haven't discovered that yet. However, the other person in their lives, on both cases, I believe they are to reveal the divinity in each of them. That, and to have implicit trust, that you don't allow anything or anyone to come in between you. It's like you're in a relationship, and your best girlfriend in the whole wide world come to you and say something, and you trust and believe everything. However, you stop her at the beginning, because that is not, what I'm saying? It's her place as your friend, but it's unnecessary, because if anything is going on between you and your person, then you should already be clear about that. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, and that's good.
Okay.
Don't go any further, because we want to save
Yeah.
some for everybody, but those are good.
No, that's true.
So I heard the emotional intelligence, that everybody has to generate and give 100%. People need to be self-aware and self-correcting, and then there also needs to be implicit trust that no one can come between you, right? And we'll discuss
Exactly.
those, but let's just keep collecting. Okay, who let me see who had their thing off. Who's next? Okay.
Okay, how about me? Can I jump in?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's like double dutch. You waiting for your time to get in there. Well, I think for a relationship to be the question, I know you're in a powerful relationship. Three things are happening. One, you can celebrate your independence. Two, you celebrate your interdependence. And three, you celebrate the dependence on what this relationship is bringing. Now I'll back into that. The dependence is every relationship's either is teaching us something or we're given something. So we have to be inside of the dependence on the fullness of that manifesting. Then the interdependence is the harmonizing, becoming one, but yet remaining oneness of self, not having to give up who you are in order to have a relationship. And then that very first one was the independence. To me, the independence means liberated, and you only can be liberated when you know who you are. Once you know that, then you're not becoming someone else inside of relationships. You're totally independent. Not from the sense that you're an island, but you understand that you are all that you need, and anything else is complementary.
Okay. All right. So I heard the ability to be independent or to culture independence, and the ability to be interdependent, meaning that you understand your relationship with your partner and you actually cultivate that, but also you trust the dependence, or you nurture the dependence that you have on your mate, knowing that there's a foundation there that you're creating so that the relationship can thrive. Like that's who you're dependent on, and it's not someone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Martin.
One of the areas that, no, the three areas, the first one I would say would be clarity on who you are. When you're clear on who you are, you can deal with, you can work with the mate. And even when they're upset, because you're grounded, you're clear on who you are, you can listen to what they have to say and actually learn from what they have to say. That's one area. Another area is really looking at growth. That in the relationship that you're in, when you're growing, you're expanding your spirit, and the person's also expanding their spirit. And in the expansion, what you're also seeing is that, some things that were expressed before, the trust, that you express and you are trusting not just the other person, but trusting yourself. Because when you can trust yourself, you can trust anyone. And when you trust yourself, you're actually one with the spirit, one with God. So clarity, growth, and trust.
Yes, clarity, growth, and trust. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Dr. Tammy, do I see you ready over there?
I am ready.
Okay.
So when I think of three things, I think of the essence of a powerful relationship. So love, first of all, being able to pick up the love in that relationship, the energy of that, the essence. Gratitude, and in the relationship, seeing that the focus is on being grateful for each other instead of looking at the things that each other lack. And the last thing I put was peaceful, but I think I want to change that too, because the other speakers, Martin, sparked something in me, and Asar, and that the creation, the ability to create. I think that a powerful relationship is a relationship in which you can create, that you have a similar vision, and then you have ability to create based on that.
Very cool. So love, which definitely, I do remember going into a marriage where love was not on my criteria sheet. Duh, right? Love, gratitude, and the ability to create. Yes, that's powerful. Okay, Timothy, you ready?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. There you go.
Okay. So, real quick, for me, relationships represent two things. Okay, they're a reflection of our resistance, and they're reflections of our purpose. One of those two. I always have three questions as it relates to relationships. Number one, what is being born? Number two, what is being built? Number three, what is dying?
Wow.
And over time, we will experience one of those three questions. And again, it goes back to what is symbolic of how we met. Again, the person that we meet, it resembles our resistance, or it resembles our purpose. And sometimes it can be both. It depends on how long you're willing to put up with each other in order to find out, right?
Yeah.
So those would be my three.
I love that. What is being born, what is being built, and what is dying. I love that. Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear those books in here?
Please help me. Please help me. I need those gifts to write.
Hey. Okay. All right. Qiana, what you got?
So my three things that I've been working on and learning inside of these relationships is spiritual evolution. One is spiritual evolution. How are you better because of this relationship? Two is the commitment to continue your own growth, like staying committed to your own spiritual development, your own spiritual evolution. And then three, courage. To say the things that need to be said, to challenge your frightened parts when you're afraid to lose someone. Can you still stand in your power? Can you still stand in your space and knowing that you need to say the things that need to be said regardless of the outcome?
Powerful. Oh my God, this is going to be great. So I heard spiritual evolution, and then your own commitment to your growth and your spiritual enhancement, and then the courage to stand in your own space and to say what needs to be said, even though it may not be in agreement with someone else. Courage. All right, cool. All right, Marshawn, take us out. What's your three?
My three was one, having an idea of self. Being that you want to go, for us to be powerful together with friends, romantic relationships, that we all truly understand who we are, the essence of who we are. Really understanding, for me, I go into relationships really looking at what is the purpose of this person being in my life, like what are they here to teach me. Second is understanding, because I feel like a lot of the times what causes breakdowns in relationships is that we never set a foundation or spoke up things that led to us being disappointed in moving forward in that relationship. And then a vision. When I say vision, it's that continuing idea of reciprocity to keep a healthy relationship, but also working to fix the things or heal the things within our relationship so that we can be in relation to each other.
Very cool. So what I have is having an idea or clear understanding of yourself. And then I know you said understanding for number two, but what I heard was communication.
Yeah.
Communication so that you're able to reach an understanding. Okay? Yeah. So you can work things out. And then I love this third one, having a vision of the relationship so that as you go forward, you're actually visualizing, going back to the ability to create, but you have to visualize it in order to create it, right? And then, so here are my three, okay, because I want to add to the conversation too, right? Being able to be vulnerable with your partner, and then also them being able to be vulnerable with you. So having that softness. Also being open and able to give and receive nurturing, right? You will be surprised how many people do not allow themselves to be nurtured, nor do they nurture their partner. That's a missing. And then this last one is funny to me because I've been celibate for so long, but I'm still going to say it. Sexual deliciousness. Powerful relationships need to have sexual deliciousness, not obligations, and not it's Saturday, let's have sex. But literally sexual deliciousness, right? So now let's actually have a conversation. Can you hear now? I just want you to know That was almost, how many things? That was like 25 pieces right there in a conversation called Powerful Relationships. But now I want to go backwards because before we actually created this, how many of us have not had what this list says? Now, give me a story, and everybody doesn't have to give me a story, but when have you been in a relationship where this was not present and you had no idea what to do to make it right? And I just want a short, because I want people to know we're dealing with real people. We're not dealing with facades, and we're not dealing with folks, I'm perfect. Yeah, I've always gotten it right. No, that's not what we want. We want to help people move from, 0 to these 25 points. Martin, go ahead. You hit first.
I had to move to Chicago. I had been here for a while, and I hooked up with a friend of mine back from Toronto, and I was so in love. I was and I'm taking myself back to that time that I would do anything for this girl. And I would go back to Toronto and drive back. When she was coming to school in the U.S., I would go to Toronto and drive her back at times. And then I found out that she really didn't reciprocate. Like, she was going to Toronto and wouldn't tell me that she's going to Toronto, and it was difficult. It was hard. It was wrenching.
So in that particular case, you were willing to give anything to a person who was giving you almost nothing.
Well, just seeing her was what I was sufficient for a while, but it wasn't insufficient because it wasn't reciprocated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now notice we didn't put needs on here. Did you notice that? Because what you just spoke to, Martin, was that you also had needs, and it wasn't that you expected her to fulfill your needs, but your needs were present and not being met in that relationship. And you probably didn't know what those needs were, depending on how old you were. Because it took me years to realize that I had needs inside of a relationship.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. All right, Osara, you were next. I see you, Tammy. You want Tammy to go? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I was married 30 years, and actually was in a relationship with her, I would say almost 32 years before she died. We met at college, and the whole story. You was there for a long part of our relationship.
Yeah.
But for me, I've come to the realization that truly Tony was my twin flame. And most people would think a twin flame relationship is super harmonious. But even though we were like the best of friends, there was times where we gave each other some real serious lessons. And then towards the end of the relationship, we came to the realization that it was time to go our separate ways. Now, that was 5 years before she ultimately passed away. So for 5 years, we were in a separation, got the divorce, and then 6 months later, she passed. But mind you, we're friends through all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we were separated, ultimately divorced, she still was my best friend. And so one of the things I learned from that, one, by letting go the divorce or the separation was the letting go, not needing to make something be perfect, to allow people to have their expressions that they needed to have. I know I shared things with you and I couldn't figure it out, why would she do these things? And then it was the realization she wasn't doing anything to me. She was doing something for me because she was doing what she needed to do for her. So just being available to learn that your biggest lessons in life will come through the person you're most transparent with.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, thank you for representing. I love you bringing Tony. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. All right, Tammy, what's yours?
Okay, so I have been divorced about 20 years now. Wow. And I'm only 25, right?
Say 35, that's reasonable.
35, okay. But in that relationship, I wanted, there were a couple of things. There were some mixed messages. So the descriptions that I listed, I didn't have, but I didn't even know who I was at that time to even know what was important to me. First of all, I wanted a relationship that was like Martin and Gina on the show Martin. A lot of laughter and fun and, just a good time. But also I was in the church, and in the church, they have you to write this list of all the qualities you want in your mate. But I didn't even know who I was. So I'm writing these qualities that sound good, and I'm watching this TV show, and I'm saying, oh, that looks great. But none of that was what I needed. But I didn't know what I needed at that time. So that's my example.
Very cool. And that's interesting, right? Because you're writing a list, and it's like a wish list.
Uh-huh.
And you're not even connected to it.
Not even.
Yeah, because you don't know who you are.
Exactly.
Right. So even if you got what you wanted on that list, you may not even appreciate it.
I didn't. I'm like, okay, so I got it, but it's not doing anything for me, but it looks good. I mean, it sounds good. Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now what would you say to people inside of wanting to create, they're in a relationship now, and it could be a dismembered relationship, it could be barely surviving, or it could be really a great relationship, but they're not inside of the ability to create. What would you say, Timothy, would be, something, some tools, some ideas, some ways of being? And also, if you want to respond to the last question, that's cool too, however you want to do it.
Well, I'll just approach it this way. So the idea is to find or attract in our space somebody that we can grow with instead of go with. There's so many people who want Mr. or Mrs. Right now instead of Mr. or Mrs. Right. And for me, and I don't even know if this response is even going to be related to the question at hand, but I'm just going to kind of flow with it, as it relates to relationships. The idea, kind of going back to what Tammy said, she made that list, right? She had an idea of what relationships should look like. And the whole idea of falling in love, that idea has to be dismissed. We never, to fall insinuates that one is to descend, okay? One is to be pulled down beneath into the darkness anyway. So me and my wife, we're telling people to always just stand in your love. Don't fall in love, because falling in love, you lose all sense of who you are, and you embrace who you are only in the symbolisms of your mate. So again, for me, going into a relationship, it's important that you have two people who are aware of themselves, two people who know themselves, because it's too much responsibility on our mates to bring our brokenness that we refuse to deal with. The brokenness is your own initiation into which you are empowered into self-knowledge. Whatever that is, if it's coaching, if it's therapy, whatever it is, do something for yourself to have an awareness to come in a relationship, because when you get in a relationship, there are mirrors. And if somebody says, I notice this about you, you should be able to recognize that. it's when we don't recognize the darkness within ourselves and we depend on somebody else to stand in our brokenness that we begin to experience conflict. In astrology, and cut me off if I go too long, I know we got a lot of presenters here tonight. In astrology, I put together something, I didn't put it together, I use a tool called composite charts or composite charts. There we begin to see not just the compatibility of relationships with that's where a lot of people get caught up at, but we look at the purpose of the relationship, okay? So what we do, we take two natal charts and put them into one. And that gives us an insight, not just where the sun will shine, but also where the darkness will begin to cultivate the spirit of that relationship. A lot of people, they don't really make it to that point. Why? Because you mentioned it before, talking to, I can't think of his name, Marshawn, yeah, brother Marshawn, about we go into the relationship, and this coming from our conversation Monday, the need to be rescued instead of being empowered. So we're looking for our mates to do for us what we have resisted doing for ourselves. And that is going to always complicate the dynamics of what you're trying to build. Again, you're either going to meet somebody that symbolizes your resistance or your purpose. So with that, again, the whole idea of falling in love, wanting to meet somebody that sweeps you off your feet, which is cool, but can we bring a whole person into the relationship, one that is aware of their darkness, so that we don't put that pressure upon our mates to carry us into places that, you know, we're not meant to go, you know? So that's just one thing that I'm thinking about right now with that.
Yeah, that's really great, Timothy, because I really, you know, part of our work is to get people to get a clear understanding and understanding of their natal charts.
Yes.
I mean, you know, we bring that work up all the time with parents in our Tao of Parenting class, you know, saying, listen, you want to nurture your child from their natal chart.
Yes.
Not from what they want to be when they grow up, because that's almost imaginary, and it's based on something else other than what is their soul work. You know, this way you can start at a younger age to move them into that. So it would make sense that when you're going to marry someone, you want to do a composite chart so you can get an idea, what is this person coming into my life to have me heal, build, or die to, whatever that is, right?
And keep in mind, Moo, when I look at this composite chart, we think we're just now meeting. I've done composite charts for relationships that show generation after generation after generation of reincarnation, because the relationship is here to be a classroom, not to be a distraction from your pain. It's like relationships are a classroom in which we prepare ourselves to learn. So yeah, a composite chart, if I go to that 12th house and I see that sun there, that lets me know that whether you were the male or the female or whatever, there has been a dance of complexities within the dynamics of that relationship that eventually one of you have to wake up and stop the cycle. Now, the universe has all the time in the world. You know, it doesn't, you know,
we get you next lifetime, whatever.
Yeah, just we'll see you next time. You don't want to you want to be selfish and a victim this lifetime, cool, go for it. Yeah. You know, you want to attract something that symbolizes your lower nature instead of your higher nature, cool, we'll try it again next time. But eventually there's a theme to relationships, okay? And you can see those in astrology. So, you know, that's an extraordinary reflection with that, you know, anytime that I have the opportunity to do them.
Cool. And Qiana, so listening to what Timothy said inside of what tools we have that could be used to support couples going from zero to generating and creating. It's a thunderstorm. Just must like this conversation. Generating a powerful relationship. What are some of the tools that you could bring into this conversation?
We have a storm here too, Mushim Sue, and my power fleets and everything. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, come on, Mercury retrograde.
Exactly. Tools that we can bring inside of our relationship, there are many that we can do individually and together as a couple. I think we talk really about the self-awareness piece, right? And that individuality. So that's prevalent. You have to be able to know your own stuff and be able to deal with your own things. So, breathe to center, meditation. I have my Bach Essence flowers right here to share with you guys. I use Bach Essence flowers, which is essence from actual different flowers that grow from the earth. And Bach is a man's last name, and he came up with a way to pull the essence out and notice how it helps us really get to some deep-rooted trauma. And so that's the thing I think is very important for people to know, and that self-awareness piece is that we all bring our, our stuff, whether it's from this lifetime, the last lifetime, the time before that, right? We got healing to do. And our healing helps us on our spiritual evolution. It helps part of our soul work. And our partner mirrors that to us. And so when we take care of ourselves and we're committed to our own growth, then we can do the things that serves our soul and we can be in partnership, right? Mm-hmm. So the ones that I have, these are my personal ones that I use. So I was like, let's talk about these because, it's real out here. So I use chicory. And this one is for help you let go of those you care for, allowing them to lead their own lives.
Wow.
And so this is important for me because I'm a Scorpio sun, I'm Aquarius moon, and I'm a Leo rising. I'm fixed all the way across the board, right? So I have a little, some with control. So I use this one to help me to relax and let the people I love lead their own lives. You cannot be in partnership and you're the one leading or thinking you're controlling somebody else. So that helps me with that. Then I have impatience. And that's exactly what it's for. Helps you deal with slow situation or people with good humor rather than irritability. So sometimes I want people to move the way I want them to move, at the speed I want them to move. My brain works really fast. I'm fixed. I'm ready to go. I'm fixing my thinking, my doing, and the way I feel, right? So I'm ready to rock and roll. And a lot of people don't move the way I move or as fast as I move. So I use this one so that I can allow people to move at their own speed. Then I have Genation, which inspires a positive attitude when you feel discouraged or despondent due to setbacks. So when I'm in my own feelings, I don't get to blame other people or take it out on people. I got to do my work. And so this keeps me in a positive way and not take out whatever I'm feeling on other people. And the last one I have is Large, which instills a greater sense of self-esteem when you feel inferior. Fear, failure, or lack confidence. So when I'm not in my power, my space, I don't get to be able to. I don't get to take out my fear on other people and my low self-esteem, my insecurity on other people. So I do the work. And so I use this so that I'm not a bully to my partner, because the first thing we want to do inside of relationships is take our stuff out on other people and use them as a punching bag instead of the mirror that they, the beautiful reflection that they are for us.
Yeah, that's powerful. My favorite Bach flower that I carry with me in my purse is walnut, because it gives you the ability to shut out the noise of the world so that you can hear your soul telling you what to do. And I love walnut. Every time I'm making another move, I have to go and get me some walnut Bach flower, because I'm never doing what people think I'm supposed to be doing. People say, oh, your grandmother, you're supposed to be take care of grandkids. Well, I do in my grandmother way, but not in sitting in a rocking chair babysitting, So that's cool. Thank you for introducing Bach flower. Okay. And then who else? Anybody else have tools? What were you going to say, Qiana?
No, I'm not saying anything.
Oh, who was saying something?
I was going to say something, but.
Okay. Go ahead, Dr. Fain.
Well, it was a couple of things about the things that we've discussed already. The short version was Marshawn's saying that when he interacts with people these days, it's about deservedness to what do they want. And I had a buddy ages ago that, well, she was a lady that I respected, and I wanted her to be my friend. And I'm not the kind of person who says, I want you to be my friend, like normally. And she said to me, well, I don't know if you deserve to be my friend. And I was like, what, excuse me? You know, to myself. But down the road in life, I was like, I understand now what she meant, you know, because to be a friend, and that's in a relationship, I think you should be friends as well as lovers or whatever else you're up to. And the other thing was that Timothy said about in love. You know, I used to tell people all the time, you don't fall in love, and they would get mad at me. And I'm like, you know, you love or you don't love, and there may be levels of love, you know, different depths of love, but that's based on how far and vulnerable you're willing to go, because most people, 99.75% of the world, are afraid of their vulnerability, and that's where their power lies. And the other thing is that love, you know, I thought everyone knew what love was, you know, but everybody thinks love is one thing, and they say, love made me do this, blah, 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 la, la, I beat your ass because I love you. Oh, pardon me. But, you know, that's not true, because love doesn't do that. And what I discovered is that mostly it's about lust, because most people are unclear about love and the depth of love and the way that one loves. And love doesn't hurt. Love is about growth and empowerment and building and all the things that we said previously. And in terms of tools, I would just, I would read, and things like The Power of Now and Conversations with God, and, you know, things that are going to show you yourself in the mirror. That's if you're wanting to look at them, because everybody doesn't want to look in the mirror at our dark to bring them together, like Timothy said. So that's about it.
Very cool. Thank you, Dr. Fain. Go ahead, Osira.
Yeah, I have one of the tools that I use, and personally for myself, is the cards of destiny. Everyone that I'm in relationships with in a significant way, meaning I see them all the time, they're in my space, I'm in their space. I look at their cards to see how they're showing up, and as to what I'm supposed to be seeing, and what lesson I'm supposed to be giving or receiving. And sometimes staying inside of a relationship with someone because I'm the one that's able to be the mirror they have to look at, and not running from it. So I always ask in this relationship, this tool for me helps me see, am I to receive something, or am I to give something? So that's a tool I use for me personally in my growth.
You know, when you say to give, are you to give something or receive something? Is it not reciprocity on both cases? We both, you know, are there to give and to receive to each other. I mean, because whomever I meet, whenever I'm with them, if I'm in contact with them, I do the same thing, you know, like I read who they are, do the cards for my information, because they are not always, you know, operating from the same place. But I was just wondering why you don't feel like it's you know, the same thing. That it sounds to me as though it's separate entities.
Well, I can definitely answer that a little bit, because in the cards, you know, there are times when people come into your life to provide something. Like, and it really does say that in the cards. Like, this person is here to teach you. This person is here to, you know, this person is playing a structured role. And sometimes they're there to actually just adore you. You know, the cards say that. So, you know, sometimes it does give a specific, you know, give and take. So I hear, well, go ahead, Osira.
Yeah. And so for me, I don't always look to receive where I sow, or I don't always sow where I receive. And so just being present to myself, why am I showing up in the space with this person? And what are they, first I ask, what are they here to show me, teach me? Then I ask, what am I here perhaps to give them? And when I look at the cards, it really comes forward. And it helps me stay where some people may say, well, you never even been in that relationship. True, it looks like it, but according to the cards, I know why I'm in this relationship. so I can stand. Now, I'm not in a relationship, any relationship that causes harm, but it helps me to understand the dynamic of that relationship. Like our children. I have 4 adult children, and the love I have for them is not a love that is based on what they do as much as just them showing up as who they are. And I don't agree with a lot of it, but I know who I am to them in relationship to what they are to learn and what I'm learning from watching them. So yeah. So with the death of my wife, I had to go from being very patriarchal to now become very matriarchal, learning learning how to operate in the divine feminine. And that happens in relationships, but it's so much easier for it to happen inside this relationship as with my children than it would be with a woman.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So now what I want to specifically speak to is inside of the work. You know how we all have some idea about mirror work. Dr. Tammy, can you talk about mirror work, and then everybody else can get to chime in? How is mirror work used as a tool inside a relationship? And then if you want to respond to any of those other questions while you're talking, that's fine too.
Absolutely. So I'm like Asar in regards to when I meet people. I like to do the cards, and I like to be proactive in regards to the purpose of the connection. So unlike how I was maybe 20 years ago, where you meet a man and you go, "Ooh, I hope this is my husband." Because he cute. I don't do that no more.
Right.
And so in that, I get excited about the attraction, because I understand that my energy, anytime I'm picking up this energy and it's powerful, it's going to be something exciting, and it far exceeds a marriage license. At this point, if there's a lesson, there's something there, quality, because every person is unique and valuable. So the fact that there's this energy there, I get excited. And so then I began to use the destiny cards as a guide to that. So then as situations and experiences are happening, instead of reacting emotionally to them and missing that lesson, I'm actually, again, understanding that this is a reflection. There's something that I need to learn here to see what part of me has shown up in this relationship, and then to get to, like, it's sort of a game to me, to get to practice, and in order to develop that area in my life that I need to work on. And one of the examples in a very good quality relationship I was in a few years ago with my yoga boo in Africa, I got to deal with, I guess I think that relationship taught me vulnerability. I had to say to myself, this is how you feel, and it's okay to feel how you feel. Now let's work through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then being vulnerable and being able to speak to him, and not just him, but to others. This is how I feel. And then going within to do that work. So then gratitude then emerged, and even more so. So it was less having to do with some of the outward things that was happening, and the gratitude was more about how I was maturing and how I was developing inwardly, and then the kindness and the patience that I was seeing in that mirror for myself being reflected from him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a totally different experience for me from my previous relationships, where jealousy may have shown up, and then I'm quitting you, I don't want to talk to you anymore, and there's no growth. So I think now mirror work for me is exciting because I love myself and I think I'm absolutely amazing and I want to be more amazing. And I realize that the relationships that I'm attracting is helping me to do that and be that and to realize, you know, who I really am, all of who I really am.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Marshawn, is something coming up for you? Was something coming up for you as Tammy was talking?
Oh yeah. Because for me in the past, I didn't necessarily do a lot of mirror work. I know when I got in my most like biggest relationship, at that time, before I got into that relationship, I made sure that I took the time out to really get to know me, understand me, do things with me that make me happy. And then I just stopped looking. I was like, I'm not looking right now. Then it just so happened that the relationship fell into my lap. But then the relationship happened, and after that relationship, it really pushed me towards this idea of doing mirror work, really looking to, like I said, understand the purpose or understand why they came into my life or why am I in their life. And so now and I agree with the doing the natal chart. Before I go into any relationship now, I'm looking at your sun, moon, and rising. But also but also for me, mirror work is more important because it's I look at the reason for the season. And there are some people that just come into our lives to awaken in us something or give us something that we hadn't, that we needed at that time to continue on with life. And I wanted to respond to another question. I would say also to have a powerful relationship is setting boundaries and having that bravery to go to the unknown. Because I feel like a lot of times with my relationships, my past relationships, there weren't any clear boundaries set. So I was intruding on a boundary that they had. They were intruding on a boundary that I had that led to a nasty codependency issue that I recognized within myself through that mirror work. Mm-hmm. And also, what else did I say? How did I forget that quick? Boundaries.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Did you all see that? A 22-year-old had a senior moment. Yay! Thank you for that.
But setting boundaries and having that bravery, because I'm in relation with a person now where I've been doing the mirror work and I can see that he was put here to I saw that he had a vision of what he wanted his life like. And I know times in the past I've been very unclear about like, what do I want from my life and how do I get there? And it's just been so amazing to see the vision that he has with his life and what he wants to do. And it just inspired that in me to have my own clear vision. And also he's pushed me to that place where in the past as well, I didn't have that bravery to say the things, what I will and will not tolerate in relationships. And it's just really having that courage to, in that faith, that inner knowing that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay going through that. But I love the mirror work, having things being brought up to really work on yourself. Because like Timothy said, every relationship is the classroom on the relationship you are having with yourself. And I love people meeting people that come into my life that are showing me what I need to work on. That energetic invitation of what is really here for me and what I need to do.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Marshawn. Timothy, give us some more in-depth look at mirror work, and then Qiana, you're up next.
Okay, cool. First of all, let me just say how much I'm enjoying this whole conversation. All of the panelists, so informative, so insightful. Thank y'all for that. And I also want to thank my teacher in relationships, which is my wife, Jaquay. We're getting close to 20 years now. And, if we could make a movie of our relationship, it would totally destroy this fantasy world of how meaningful relationships, begin to grow, because we weren't always these people who share reflections, combining this masculine, feminine force and getting wisdom. We were these people who that be some gunplay, maybe some knife fights, a lot of cussing, a whole lot of cussing. But see, again, this is why I say, find somebody you can grow with, not just go with, because even as parents, we have enough sense that if our children, around 4 or 5 years old, you don't buy them clothes that fit them now. You buy them clothes that they can grow into. Relationships are the same way. Have some, you got to have vision of where you're going, but you got to look at where the mirrors are shining in your eyes right now. And mirror work is extremely important. Again, in order to recognize yourself in the mirror, you have to do the work to know yourself. We go into relationships with unrealistic expectations. Number one, we cannot meet anyone at the place they have not met themselves. Okay? Can we just get that in our heads? You have these expectations of how they're going to show up, but they have never investigated themselves through any type of accountability, such as therapy, such as coaching, such as mentorship. We need these things individually so that we can limit the distractions that mirror work comes with. Now, with that being said, again, composite charts, astrology is the sacred use of time. It's not for you to, wonder, well, when my husband come in hell, I'm lonely, and people come in with that mindset. And I'm like, yo, chill, because astrology is about you awakening within the relationship, okay? And we got to understand what attracts us to relationships. It is not, again, even as Dr. Marlene said, it is not love at first sight. It is the pain underneath the surface that is the magnet for all relationships that are meaningful. So if you see somebody that's attractive to the eye, you better know the soul knows the medicine it needs to heal. And you're going to connect with those people. An interesting reflection, I was looking at a study, Moot, dealing with dating. It's done got so bad with the inner work. We just, on dating sites trying to get the hookup now. It's too hard, to do the work and then wait on the universe to mirror the work that we've done. So we have dating sites. And there were dating sites and apps like eHarmony that you put down a whole lot of metrics within that to try to establish some form of compatibility. Okay. The funny thing is, in today's dating apps, which I am not aware of, I've been, my wife had me pinned down for a long time here. Okay. So not really familiar with the dating apps. I'm just going on what I've read. Such as Tinder and other apps, you just kind of look at a picture, and if it's something that you like, you click on it.
Oh, that is true. That is very true.
Yeah. So, well, hell yeah. I got an amen here. So here's the funny thing. Even with all the metrics of eHarmony, and even with the just random selection of something like Tinder, just looking at a picture, it is the same amount of compatibility with both, which lets me know that is something deep within us that is attracted to the pain that needs to be healed. And somebody holds the recipe for that healing that's in our awareness. And it doesn't matter how much you know about that person. We know what we need to heal whenever we see this person. And it comes off as a romantic feeling. It doesn't come off as, oh, hell, this is a lot of work to get done. Let's get to it. It comes off as this warm and fuzzy feeling that, you know, all is right in the world and that's the way it should be. But again, we have to grow out of that and allow room to grow within ourselves. Okay, so, you know, it's all about the expectations that we're bringing in and healing and recognizing the mirrors, you know, and a lot of these mirrors are not our own. You know, there are certain men who want to connect with women, but you are bringing the expectation from the lack of nurturing you receive from mother, and you're putting that onto a wife, and you expect there to be some electricity, especially on a sexual level, when you have the expectations of a mother onto the woman that you want to connect with. We got to heal that first so that we can recognize it in the mirrors that show up with them. Again, we meet and we're attracted by the pain that is hidden, not by the attraction we see. Okay, so the mirrors are enormous whenever you take two people who have not done the work of self-discovery, because it's offensive for somebody to point out to us something we have never witnessed. Now, my wife today, she can say, Timothy, this is you. And I'll be like, you're damn right, that's me. I recognize it, okay? I'm not trying to fight it and go to war with it. Why? Because I've done the work. So I hope that makes sense to all the panelists here. And, you know, dealing with astrology, my generation mood is from 1972 to 1984, Pluto was in Libra for that whole generation. So if anybody that's on the panel or any listeners, Pluto coming in Libra means that our whole life is constructed around the transformation by relationships. I have not done one chart by one person, I've done hundreds, trust me, that there was not a divorce with somebody with Pluto and Libra, or a very vicious experience within the relationship, some glaring form of dysfunction. That's just why we are here, okay? And again, it's all about the healing, because in relationships, we think healing is going back to how we felt in the beginning. You're no longer those two people. Or three people, whoever hell you got in your tribe, but in your relationship circle, you're no longer there. You're searching for something that doesn't exist, because the transformation in relationships happen every 5 to 10 years. Me and my wife, we're not the same people that we were when we first met, nor do we desire to be, because we're more interested in what we are becoming than how we were when we met.
Very cool. Qiana, hold your thought. I want to get to Osir because the sun is setting over there.
There we go.
Osir, give us, what would you add to the mirror conversation? How does mirror work operate inside of relationships for you?
When we talk about mirror work, I also wanted to bring in the trick mirror. Many times when we meet someone, let's say we meet someone at an event and you are on the same resonance, but then and you move into a relationship and you find that the other shoe drops and this person is nothing like what they were when we met. So there was a trick mirror. So here's the situation there. Either that person who is not holding your true frequency, who just put that frequency up to had that frequency at that event, but they want that frequency. So being in a relationship with you, if they can stand the heat, they can ultimately move to that frequency. But in many cases, this is the reality. In many cases, they will ultimately get thrown out the vortex.
Wow.
But they'll find themselves with the same kind of person, and until they come to the realization, that's what I want to be like. That's what I want to experience. And now I need to do the work to experience that and not experience that. So I'm going to just hang out right here till the darkness just fades me out. Thank you for that.
That is so cool, because really, and I've seen this. You know how people meet somebody and they're really having a good time, and then somebody goes ghost. You know, I got that. You think here, somebody goes ghost, right? To me, Osir, that's what's happening. Is they see the gap. It's like, wow, I really like this person, but I'm not the person that they need. Right? So they disappear, they
don't want to do the work.
Well, they may go to do the work.
Okay.
Because a lot of times people, that type of work, you have to isolate.
Okay.
You really do have to go into a solitude and deal. And you may have to go find a therapist, a mentor, a coach to help you deal with those demons that you haven't been able to face, because that mirror that person you were with, yeah, they're not bringing up your demons. They're bringing up your future. They're bringing up somebody that you cannot even get to. Does that make sense? And yeah, because I was telling people, I said, sometimes people leave you so they can work on themselves, but by the time they come back, you done already made up your mind with, yeah, well, because you haven't dealt with your abandonment issues or whatever that is. So sometimes that mirror, and I love that trick mirror could very well be an indicator to the person, seeing their reflection, or you giving them their reflection, could be an indication for them, you need to get some work done. And this relationship could be possible, but you gotta go and get some work done. And then some of us have to hold the space. That's a whole new conversation, but Qiana, what do you want to have? What do you want to add to the trick mirror and holding the space and ghosting?
I was like, she's in my life right now, okay? Tim always know me and brother Tim. We, follow each other on Facebook. We've done some work together, so he always is like so on point. I have a very unorthodox, out of the box relationship. I've been married 16 years, almost 17. We've been in separation twice. We're currently in separation. I'm also Pluto and Libra. He's definitely my twin flame. We definitely have learned a lot. I call him master teacher. And so the mirror work, one of the things that I have learned about mirror work is like how you see yourself. Your partner shows you how you see yourself. So when you are feeling like they are, just like the scum of the earth, or they just terrible person or whatever, however, we get our feelings, we're mad at them or whatever, that's you. You're seeing you. So this is how you see yourself, and vice versa. When you are seeing them, it's just like, oh my God, you see the God in them, and you just see like all this, potential and whatever. You're seeing you. You're just seeing yourself. So your mirror work is how you see yourself. What triggers you? What gets your goat? Like, you got to look at what's making you mad, what's making you sad, what's making you frustrated. Like, what are some of the things that they do, their behaviors, their speech, how they communicate, even, I've heard people say, oh my God, he breathed wrong, right? So, what's trigger you? And then get into the bottom of it, because it's just hurt. He's hitting the pain body that's inside of you. So then doing the work to get down inside of that and see like, okay, when I was little, my mom used to yell at me for breathing wrong, right? Mm-hmm. So you get to look at that piece and really see what's happened. So looking at what triggers you and looking at what irritates you, because the thing
Qiana, you might want to go out and come back in, because that storm is probably hitting your frequency. Is everybody else okay? Did you?
Am I breaking up?
I'm okay. Everybody's breaking up though.
Y'all can hear me? It's the internet connection, of course, because it's raining everywhere. So just
I can hear everybody just fine.
Okay, I can hear.
I can hear everyone well. Also, yeah.
I can hear.
Yeah, I can hear too.
Qiana was just breaking up. That's all.
Go ahead, Qiana. Go ahead and complete.
So, what irritates you, right? So the thing that like irritates your soul about a person, especially your mate, like, oh my God, he never, is patient, right? He doesn't tell me he loves me. Well, you probably not as loving as you think you are. You probably not as patient as you think you are. So looking at what actually irritates you, what triggers you, how you see yourself, and what irritates you. Those are some of the ways to use the mirror work to really grow your spiritual evolution. And then going back to, are you committed to your spiritual evolution, right? Because you have this mirror, it's showing up. Do you face the mirror? Do you face those fears? Do you challenge your fearful parts? Do you do the work? Do you really get down to your deep soul work and do the things that evolve you and make you better inside the mirror work? But yeah, that Pluto and Libra, Tim, oh my God. really figuring out what's best for you. And I've done a lot of work within these last few years. We've been in separation now over a year, maybe like a year and some months. I don't know. But I've done a lot of soul searching work inside of that time where I know without a shadow of a doubt that I could not have done that inside of our partnership. And that's why we had to separate. And same with him. He's done a lot of work. We actually just talked recently. He's done a lot of work, healing work on his own, and he's doing, and we couldn't have done that together. So sometimes, relationships don't look, especially when you're with your person, it does not look how society deems the relationship look. And it just depends on what you want from it. Do you want the spiritual evolution? Do you want the soul work? Do you want to be better? And if the answer is no, a spiritual partnership might not be for you, and that's okay. But the answer is yes. You gotta pull yourself up by them bootstraps and get in them murky depths and do that work. And you will learn compassion at such oh my God, at such a just a 5D level. It's unexplainable, the conversation I have with my twin flame now. It's unexplainable the love and light I sent to him to make sure that he's feeling my love in this world while he's out there learning his lessons and doing his thing. It's a different type of compassion to be able to stand in your power, to stand in love and not fall in love into this codependent trap of possessiveness and codependence. So mirror work helps you to be better, and your person helps you to be better.
Absolutely. So I think okay. Am I taking this over? I was.
Oh no, Mooch is texting me, so her internet went out.
Okay.
So we're gonna ask Martin to speak next, and then if anyone else didn't speak, did you speak on mirror work, Tim?
I did.
Okay.
So,
so we're gonna have.
I want after Martin. I wanted to add something real quick.
And then we'll have Dr.
McClain.
Fain, and then Tim, you can take over. And we're at about maybe 42 minutes, just for everybody to know. Okay.
All right.
So many times, we in my experience, I found that we're actually so much more capable of what we see ourselves as capable of. I've gone back at the astrological charts, and I've looked at it for the couple of the key people that I've been in relationship with, and when we envision, I'm going to go back and for a second. I got married about 35 years ago, 30 years ago, 27 years ago. And we went into visioning, and we envisioned and named the children that we were going to have. And we actually created names and wrote down what they were going to be, who they were going to be in life. And when I look now, 20 years later or 25 years later, and I look at them, and they're just clear reflections of what we said they would be. Like they created themselves and generated themselves. And we don't know, we don't appreciate the power we have to be able to do that. And as we're able to do that, and I look back at the astrological charts, I could see that they reflected who we were at the time, but they also reflected the future that we saw ourselves as, and we saw them as. And the astrological charts, when I look at them at the relationships I'm in, I see the greatness of the future that person is. So when I fall in love, and I fall in love with a lot of people, not just the people I'm in, have an agreement for a relationship, and I fall in love with a lot of people because for me, people are love. And relationships is not just your mate. It's I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing the pictures and I'm in love. And it's not something that's mystical. Yes, it is mystical, but it's not mystical because there's attraction that I am that I am not present to always, and I am present to at times, that has me love people that automatically. And we have that access to it. And I'd love to see when that happens. I'm going to leave it at that.
Very cool. Did you guys miss me? I'm sorry.
Yes, we did.
The storm just took me right out, Dr. Fain. It was just like,
Welcome back. Yeah,
Welcome back.
I get a message. Timothy, can you take over? I'm like, oh hell, what's happened? Okay, so welcome back.
So let me when Qiana was on, she was talking about the things that trigger you in your mate, you know, what irritates you and what it is that you have to look at. And a while ago, I was, you know, in a seminar, and there was this guy, and he was like very irritating. I was like, and so my coach was standing by me, and I was like, oh, he's this, he's that, oh, blah, 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 blah. And he said, Marlene, and I'm like, what? He was like, be careful what you say about him, because you're really talking about yourself. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about me. But what I came to discover is that you cannot see something in someone else that's not in you. So because how you going to know what it is if you don't know? You know what I'm saying? How you can't recognize it. And the other thing was about what Martin was saying about love, and the fact that what I discovered is that vulnerability in relationships, it is something you have to fight for in most cases. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe one person is open to being vulnerable and the other person is clueless about what vulnerability. What, you want me to cry, huh? Who? So, you know, it's like, and vulnerability backs people up in my experience, because like when I decided to stop compartmentalizing my emotions and decided to be whatever comes up, comes out, no matter where I am or who I'm with. I mean, I could be at a board meeting and something happens and I started crying, but that doesn't mean I'm not present at what's going on, you know, and can be just like need a bucket. But the people at the room, they would be like, oh my God, what's wrong with her? You know, blah, blah, blah. And there would be nothing wrong. So emotion-wise and mirror-wise, to do mirror work, like, I mean, transformation period, we know is not for the faint of heart. So, you know, because people don't want to look at that darkness and love it and embrace it. You know what I'm saying? And like take ownership of it without becoming it. That's the process. You got to stay in the light, but you got to know about the dark. So if you have to go in the dark, you can like, okay, I'm going in the dark, but I'm coming out this bad boy. And so, you know, it's just like, yeah. So mirror work is extremely, extremely important. Oh, the other thing is that emotions, when Martin said he looks at the charts in relationship to find out who, what, why, where, and when, and that they designed their children. And what I discovered when my youngest had an issue is that, and I didn't know this at the time, but when you're in a relationship and you're pregnant and your stuff is traumatic and you're not loved and embraced, and it's not like the best thing on the planet, all of that transfers to your child. And sometimes when they be acting all strange and act like they possess, you be like, oh, what is wrong with these children? But if you reflect back to who you were when you were carrying them and what was going on during that time and all of that, it is so connected. And that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, we're going to put that in, Dr. Fain. Tammy and I decided that the Ignite Your Soul connection will be women's work in December, and womb work will be one of our topics. I'm with you on that. Thank you. Thank you. So I know we're finishing up, and what I want to do is I want everyone, it's two more questions I have for you guys. I want you to look at, what do you, at least tell me one thing. And remember, we're in the space of closing down because they'll shut us down at 9:30. So what one thing do you do to grow yourself when you're in a relationship, or to grow the relationship? One thing that you do personally to either grow in the relationship or to grow the relationship. And let's see, Marshawn, I haven't heard from you in a minute. One thing that you do to grow yourself or to grow the relationship.
One thing that I do to grow myself in a relationship now, and that's for my friends and everyone, is one, looking at myself, but also really for me is communicating and discussing the issues that we may or do not have, because a lot of the times for me, I've noticed that we have in my friendships, relationships, we have the tendency to like push things under the rug, let things go unsaid, and then it leads to that bigger blow up of between us, when if we would have had the courage or simply just sat and came to that discussion of what we didn't want to allow, or the breakdown of what happened, that issue would have never happened. And also for myself is acknowledging my feelings, because I feel like just how you know that the relationship is growing, you easily can feel when it's about to go down, when it's about to make its exit. And then that pushes, that ego in me pushes it to want to continue something, and it's like, why do I want to continue it if it's so unhealthy, not loving? And really, like I said, for me, one for myself is doing the mirror work, and then it's also communicating and acknowledging how I feel with this person, and what we need to do to stay in relation to each other, and accepting people for who they are. Because I feel like also we try to go into these relationships, and that ties into that possessiveness, that ego wanting to control that person or get that person to do things to make us feel good in a relationship, and not really once you accept that person for who they are and not trying to change them, then to move forward in a relation, now you know how they are. So now you know how you choose to be in relation with that person.
Okay, so I can hear in all of what you said that communicating authentically inside of your relationship, the good, the bad, and the ugly, just being open in communication. Okay, yeah. Cool. All right, Tammy, Dr. Tammy, what would you say? What's the one thing that you do inside of your relationship to either grow yourself or grow the relationship?
Mirror work. Number one, mirror work.
Mirror work.
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, Sarah, are you still there in the dark?
Yes, I am. The one thing I do is just reflection. At the end of the day, reflect on how I showed up, what I said, would I receive that the same way if it was sent to me, what was said to me, how did it make me feel, and what do I need to do about it? And so just reflection.
Okay, that whole recapitulation piece.
Yes, ma'am. I forgot that big word.
Right. Okay. Let me see. I can't see all of you now. So, Martin, what's the one thing that you do to grow yourself or grow your relationship?
It's combined. It's affirmation and appreciation. Mm-hmm. When I appreciate the other, I'm appreciating me. And when I appreciate me, I'm appreciating the whole. Mm-hmm. And in the affirmation, it's the reflection of the appreciation in it all.
Very cool. Okay. Timothy, what do you do? One thing that you do?
So that one thing that I do is always going to be inner work, which pretty much includes all of the other strategies that have been mentioned in here. Again, inner work is so important. Our work at Light really is relatable to Carl Jung's work of the unconscious. Within the man, there is what's called the animus. Within the woman is what's called the anima. the anima. In the man, we have the animus, which is the feminine unconscious potential to be possessed by the very thing we're resisting. So to give you an example, with me, when my wife met me, I'm an alpha male, you know me, you know, I'm soft now, but I used to be this tough guy, right? So very, very masculine, very logical in thought. But when my wife initiated me and I could release being overcome and possessed by my own animus, then I was able to embrace my feminine qualities of emotional intelligence and a connection to wisdom. And even transformation itself is a masculine quality that I can bring to my wife if she surrenders being possessed by her own, anima or whatever. So that's how it goes, It's just the inner work mood, knowing who you are, healing all of the damage, that we have received even from our parents into now, doing the inner work. We know how to show up for our mates without putting the responsibility on them to heal our brokenness. So again, with the anima with men and the animus with women, research that. I want everybody to do that, because you have an unconscious polarity. I don't care what your sexual preference is. You still have an unconscious polarity in which you expect others to feel without doing the work yourself. So again, inner work pretty much puts all that together.
Thank you.
And thank you again for having this move. Thank you so much.
But we're not done yet. I got one more.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes. The only thing again for me would be introspection continually, like daily, all the time, and to maintain my peace, to remain calm in all situations, no matter how dramatic, traumatic, or frustrating it may be, to choose peace.
Yes, choose peace. Qiana, what would you say? What do you do? What is the one thing that you do to grow your relationship or to grow yourself in the relationship? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was trying to take the mute off. You know what? Everybody hit on some really great stuff. I just wrote down a few things. The first thing, I feel like I just have to surrender and allow, because I'm always trying to predict the outcome and make things go my way. So Marshawn had hit on ego, right? Like letting that ego go, letting that shame go, letting to be right, or make somebody else wrong, letting that go, just surrender and allow. That's both for yourself and for relationships, and just to stop hiding and being distracted, because I feel like when we are so caught up in other people and blame, it's really just a distraction. We're really just hiding from our own power and our own purpose. And so then walking in our purpose, standing in our love, standing in our power, what are we supposed to be doing? We're here for a greater cause and a greater good. And if we're focused on distractions, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing anyway, right? So walking in our purpose. And then the thing that I have found so prevalent, and one of the things I'm so grateful for, and we were talking about gratitude today, me and two of my friends, and I'm sitting on here with you guys, and I'm just like, community. Who are you surrounded by? Who are you learning from? Who can you go to when you have a 5D situation? You know what I'm saying? And you say man, he did blah, 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 blah. And they go, okay, let's go to the inner work. Let's look at your chart. Let's pull out the destiny cards. Let's breathe, right? Who do you have? So who is your family? Who is your soul family? Who is your community? And surround yourself with those people. So when you do slip and when you do go into ego and you reach out to them, and I had a friend that I was in my feelings. This was just I was in my feelings, and I'm tired of love. I'm giving up. And she said, okay. And I was like, wait. I was like, wait, what? She was like, okay, if that's what you want to do, okay. And I was like, wait, no, that's not what you're supposed to say, right? So I was like, okay, they gotta go back, get out of the ego, go back to surrender and allow. You're talking crazy, you're hiding, you're distracted, you're not walking in your purpose, but you reached out to somebody in your community or family who ain't gonna let you do those things. They're not gonna let you play small, they're not gonna let you stay inside your ego. And if you want to be there, they're like, okay, fine, be there. But I'm not going to be a part of that. So just, surround yourself with your soul tribe, surrender and allowing to let the universe do what it's going to do, not being possessive, not being being an ego, not being distracted, not hiding, and just walking in your purpose.
Very cool. And I just want to add, I want to add my what I do, and I wish I would have known this when I was younger. But of course, you know, my chart says that I don't evolve until I'm older. So this is part of my wisdom years. So what I actually do in my relationship, and most of them, is play and joy. So who I am for you know, and I do not just in love relationships or with the opposite sex, but in many of my relationships, because I can be so serious. It's my nature to be serious. So what I love doing is being able to be play and joy. And that's what I work on in my relationships. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, my granddaughter says I'm too serious, and I say I've been that all my life. I've always been serious, but I'm actually a big kid at heart. We had this conversation about where we're goofy periodically, but it's spellular. It's not all the time. Most of the time, it's intensity about because we're passionate about transforming ourselves and our lives and being our divine higher selves, and etc. I'm gonna be quiet now. I love you guys.
Okay, so wait a minute. Here's the last question. What book, if you were to offer any reading material for our listening audience, what book would you suggest for them to have them build powerful relationships at this time? Okay. Who's going?
There's a big old book called Relationships. It's gigantic, and I'm going to get the information for you while somebody else talks, but that's the name of it. And it's a guide to relationships, and it tells you astrologically, specifically, based on the year and month you were born and the other person, and it tells you what it's about and who had powerful relationships that relate to that. But I'm going to get the information for you. It's called Relationships. It's gigantic.
Cool. Okay, get the title, the full title, and the author.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Osir, do you have any books titles for us?
Oh yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I don't have the title, the full title, but I mentioned it last night in regards to divine feminine and masculine relationships. But I will put that back up tonight.
Okay, and you'll get it to us so that we can find it, right?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Okay, what about you, Timothy?
So I'm going to make this recommendation. The book is called We, W-E.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. And it's called We, the Understanding the Psychology of Romantic Love. And this, again, is going to take a Jungian approach, incorporating myth into unconscious awareness and how we awaken to ourselves with our connections with each other.
Very cool.
It's not for the faint at heart. If you're scared, stay at home, though.
What about you, Dr. Tammy? Timothy said if you faint at heart, stay at home.
Please do.
I'm like, woo!
Right.
Well, to be honest, I think I need to read more books. I've been on Dr. Africa's kick, and I really haven't. I need to read some books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then, Martin, do you have any book suggestions for us?
I actually do a lot more audiobooks than actual physical books.
Yeah.
And the book I would recommend is Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I like about him is that he broke his back, and he went into the the thinking of what it would take to heal himself. And although he was, although all the doctors told him that he should go under surgery, he decided not to, and did the inner work to regenerate the spine in his back. And it reflects for me because at one point in time I was skiing and I fractured my back significantly to the point they had to take me off the hill on a stretcher.
Mhm.
And without going to without seeing surgery, having surgery and all those other things, I'm able to run 20 miles a week without an issue. And you know, I'm over 60. I can outrun most 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
So there's inner work. When inner work gets done, it's very, very powerful.
Very
You know,
cool.
I'm sorry. I saw that book up there that Greg had, and I was like, how did my book get up there on the screen? I didn't put that up there. But I'm reading, because I'm reading it, you know, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. But anyway, the book is called The Secret Guide to Relationships. The Secret Guide to Relationships. The Secret Language of Relationships. Your complete personality guide to any relationship with anyone, by Gary Goldschneider.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Marshawn, do you have a book for us? You are mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. For me, it's one book. In the Meantime, Finding Yourself in a Relationship You Want by Qiana Van Zandt. And then another one that I have, let me grab it because I don't know it by heart.
Okay, so while he's grabbing that book, the 3 books that I would recommend is Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. And then How Can I Get Through to You by Terrence Real. And then the third one is Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. Okay. All right, Marshawn.
So I couldn't find a book. I can't remember where I last put it, but for one of the books that I've been reading to grow a better spiritual, grow more connected with myself. It's a book. It's called The Yoruba Beliefs and Practices. It's a book by Baba Kiride. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Well, what you can do is, even after this call, you can get it to us and we can just post it to.
Got you.
Post it to Ignite Your Soul Connection, because we want to make sure that people have a complete library almost each night.
Got you.
Yeah, so Vicky has The Yoruba Beliefs and Practices by Baba. So she might know it. She probably does, knowing her. All right. Okay, guys, so we're down to the last 8 minutes. I really just want to thank you for this week. And I just want to say, yay! What an amazing week it has been. And I can't express enough the joy and the accomplishment that I always get from working with you. And some of you have been on Ignite Your Soul Connection since the inception of 2011, so it really does move me to know that we are contributing to the well-being of our community just by showing up. And so, as we go out, I want you guys to take like 30 seconds and just say your final words. And then after we close out, please stay on so we can debrief amongst ourselves. So just 30 seconds. Go ahead, Martin.
Marshawn, Tammy, Tim, Rita, Marlene, Vicky, Greg.
Yeah.
it's really the mirror work. You know, like you are reflections of who I am. And as I hear you, I hear me. So thank you for who you are,
Thank you.
I say.
I say. Marshawn?
Close it out. Nothing really to say. I'm at a loss for words. But just very grateful to be able to sit here and listen. And also be able to have people listen to my ideas as well. So yeah. That's
Very
all.
cool. Thank you. What about you, Timothy?
Okay, let me get myself on mute. Okay, first of all, extraordinary job once again. Thank you so much for allowing me to share space with these wonderful panelists. And I hope that this week for men, it has been a week of healing for them. First of all, I want to say relationships, it's about work. Okay, if you're not willing to work, you don't qualify for powerful relationships. Now, there's a difference between regular relationships and powerful relationships. Powerful relationships are about the work. It's not about being attracted to someone and fixing them up to their potential. Okay, it's not like an old truck you just want to buy and fix up. Relationships are about self-responsibility, healing oneself so that we can heal each other through our connection. And again, thank you, Moot, for bringing me on this week. I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you. And before we listen to Tammy and Dr. Fain, I want you to know that Qiana and Greg both had technology issues. So we're going to hear Dr. Fain and Dr. Tammy, and then we'll end. Dr. Fain, 30 seconds. What are your final words?
Short version, I'm grateful for being invited. I love everyone here. And mirror work is something that, one has to do every day. I am you, you are me, we are they, and they are we. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Tammy, take us out.
I want to thank you, Mushamsu, for creating this platform, Vicky, for amazing work. I am looking at each and every coach, and I'm excited because, again, mirror work is what I do. And I'm like, gosh, am I really like you? Am I like you? I'm like you. Thank you for the platform. I'm coming off of a mental detox this actually tomorrow. So what a great experience to have for the end of the week and the end of my detox. And I took a lot of notes. So thank you all for sharing your gifts, your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience. I am grateful to you all and hope to meet those who I haven't met in person. Hope to meet you one day in person and get a hug.
That's right. And in the last but not least, I just want to say, Vicky, you have been exemplary, if I don't even know how to say the word, but just an extraordinary addition to the family, your graciousness, your generosity, your tenacity, your ease of being able to work with you. Thank you so much for just being the space of healing water for men, because without you, we would not have been able to do this on so many levels, and you behind the scenes, I got it, but every day we had to communicate and you were I just am full of so much love and respect for who you had to be to get this done. So thank you. And I just want to give you a wonderful applause.
Yes, thank you, Vicky. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all having me. I got triggered tonight, so I've been over here fighting tears, but I appreciate you all so much, and I've learned so much, and it's such a blessing and so wonderful to know that you're on the right track.
Yeah.
It's so good. Such a warm, wholesome feeling to know that you're living up to your life's purpose and what God wants for you. So,
and don't fight them tears.
Right. To all of the people, to the audience, the participants, To those of you who registered and got free tickets, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just thank you for your listening. Thank you for your listening. Thank you for allowing us to share with you. You know, we humbly do this service. We don't come to you with statistics and doctorates. Well, some people have doctorates, but that's not even what our work is. We are coming to you from our heart, and we're coming to fulfill a need in our community, and that's how we do this work. So thank you for being the space to hear us. We are grateful, and it's an honor to serve you. So we'll be posting the replays next week. And until next time, peace, everyone. Ashe.
Peace.